Hello to the Wagner team. If we haven't met before, my name is Patrick Houlihan. I'm a former Marine, F-18 fighter pilot, Top Gun graduate, and founder of SL Partners. I've put together a video series of some of the best practices I learned going through that Top Gun course. And today I want to share with you my experience with humility and honesty. Now, if you're one of the top 1% to be invited to go to Top Gun, what does that make the instructors? What I can tell you is it makes them really, really good. In fact, today there are things that they did with the airplanes that I still can't figure out. And they knew everything: tactics, procedures, enemy formations, intelligence. They were some of the smartest people on the face of the earth, especially around air combat. But they were also some of the most humble and honest people I've ever met. And let me give you a couple examples of this. First of all, whenever we asked the Top Gun instructor a question, they would always respond with, "It depends." They would force us to explain the scenario, why we were asking the question. Now, why did they do that? Well, as students, we just wanted a quick answer. But they knew something else, that complex environments rarely have simple answers. Does that sound familiar at all? I mean, if you think of it in construction, equipment rental, services terms, every customer is different. Every job site is different. Every machine issue is different. And every employee situation is different. The best leaders in aviation and in construction don't walk around like they have all the answers. They ask questions, they listen, and they learn. And they stay humble enough to improve. Sometimes the quickest answer isn't always the best answer that's out there. Now, after we got through it depends part and we figured out the scenario, they would always respond with Top Gun recommends. Never "I think" or "Maverick thinks" or "this is what I would do" or "here's my opinion." It was always Top Gun recommends. And the reason why is because they knew they weren't speaking for themselves. They were speaking on behalf of the organization and what the school was trying to teach us. Now, these were elite aviators, the best of the best, but they took their ego out of it and they understood that the standards and the people and the mission came first. When you think about humility, sometimes as leaders, or not even in a leadership role, if we just have a lot of experience, we think we got to know all the answers, right? We think because we have the accolades and the training and the time in the seat behind the dozer that we have to know everything. Well, that's not exactly true. Because another interesting thing at Top Gun is if you ever asked an instructor a question that they didn't know the answer to, they never gave you a false answer. They never gave you a half answer. They never made something up. If they didn't know the complete answer, they'd look at you in the eye and say, "You know what? I don't know, but I'll go find out." And they did it every single time. And then they would go find out, maybe the next day, the next week, then it'd take them 3 weeks, but they would still go find out and get the answer. Now think of that in your organization if you operated that way. Technicians being honest about repair issues, leaders admitting mistakes or employees admitting mistakes before they turned into big things, speaking honestly about safety concerns, or departments openly communicating instead of blaming each other. I mean, think of what that does on the customer side. If your organization operates with humility and honesty, how much better can you service the customer? Things like trust, accountability, better decisions, safer operations, stronger customer relations, all of those things come together because frankly, customers trust organizations that tell the truth. I learned a lot at Top Gun, a lot about flying, but some of the most important lessons I learned had nothing to do with being in the airplane. And honesty and humility was one of the best lessons that I took out of there. If the best pilots in the world can practice honesty and humility, who was I not to do the same in everything that I do from that point going forward? Look, whether you're in the field, you're in the yard, in the shop, or in the office, the same principles apply. be humble enough to learn, be honest enough to tell the truth, and lead in a way that earns the trust of your team, your customers, and yourself. Thank you for your time today. Have a great day and be safe.